Hey everybody, it's Brad at Dayport Brothers LLC out in Versailles, Ohio. Going to do another walk around video followed by an operational video on this 2021 Kubota M62 backhoe that came in and we're putting up for sale. Like always, I'll walk around, I'll talk about the features and functions, I'll get up close to everything, I'll show you everything that I see, talk about anything that I know on this particular machine, and of course we'll fire it up, we'll run it through its paces. We'll show you the bucket pins up front. We'll show you the pins back on the backhoe. Show you the hydraulics are strong. Let you hear the engine. As always, if you are in the market for a used backhoe, a used piece of construction equipment, or a used piece of ag equipment, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Your likes and subscriptions help other people who are looking for equipment find our videos and find our machines, and we truly do appreciate it. All right, like I said, this one's a 2021 Kubota M62. Sun's starting to come out here, so we'll kind of be able to show you how bright the paint is on this one. OROPS 4-wheel drive. It's got the TL 1800 front loader with skid steer mount quick attach. Third function, front auxiliary hydraulics. It's got the BT 1400 backhoe with a mechanical coupler and a hydraulic thumb. You don't see a ton of those with the hydraulic thumbs. It's a Hydro Plus transmission. Really cool transmission. I'll try to talk about that a little bit more when I'm up on the operator station. It's got the crawling mode, tilt steering wheel. This one has 1,482 hours. So here in a little bit, we'll fire it up. We'll show you the pins up here, nice and tight. Hydraulics are strong. But for now, let's get up close to it. You'll see here this orange paint still nice and bright. It does have your typical, I mean, there's chips and scuffs and scratches. There's some rock chips up here. You'll see some spots there with some scratches and some paint peeling off around here. Same thing up here on the cylinder. You can see where there's paint wore off and chipped off. But the loader itself, that paint's nice and bright. Starting to flake off a little bit here on that decal. If you're at all familiar with Kubota, you know that they are not well known for super strong lasting decals. Scuffs here you can see, but that orange paint is nice and bright. Again, some small rock chips here and there, scuffs and scratches. Crawling mode, which we'll talk about a little bit later if you're not familiar with. Very cool feature. Everything looks good here on this frame. Looking at the front tire on this side, I'm gonna say we're probably at about 35 or 40% tread depth. I think I'm being very fair there. As you can see, there's some little small spots where it's getting little notches out of it. Nothing out of the ordinary. A couple little spots right there. A little bit of a notch out of that tread bar. Nothing out of the ordinary for used tires. Looking at the front rim here on this side, that orange paint, there's some dust in there. We ran it around out here and did the operational video. A little bit of dust in there, but that orange paint is still nice and bright. Not too much. There's a couple small little nicks and chips on the outer edges of the rim, but otherwise pretty darn good. This M62 is nicer than a lot of them. A lot of times you see these, they were owned by big rental yards and they just get beat up. This one, again, is pretty doggone nice. Looking at the rear fender on this side, as you can see there, pretty straight. No huge dents or dings. Just your typical scuff scratches here. There's some spots here where your foot rubs, your boot when you get on and off. There's some scratches here in the paint. You'll see there. Some light scuffing there, but that paint is very bright and reflective. As I come over to the side here, you can see that. Everything looks good there. Up underneath the fender on this side, again, paint's really good underneath there. Looking at the rear tire on this side, I'm gonna say we're at least 50% tread depth. I think I'm being very fair there. Just a tiny little bit of weather checking starting in there. It's really hard to see, but there's a little bit starting in there. Just, I mean, you can barely see it there. Sidewall looks really good. Looking at the rear rim here on this side, again, that orange paint's really good. Couple small little chips in the paint here and there. There's a small one right there, a couple inside here, a couple there, but the outer edge of that rim, everything looks really good there. Coming around to the backhoe, outriggers look good. Just your typical rock chips and scuffs and scratches there. These have a 14-foot max digging depth. The newer ones, they put a decal up there on them for that. Everything looks pretty good here. This step has been busted off and welded. You can see that, or it was tweaked and then tweaked back and they welded it. Very common on these Kubota backhoe machines. Those steps, they just kind of get banged up. Everything else down here looks really good. Looking at the boom and the stick on this side, I don't see anything that looks like it's been cracked or welded or plated anywhere. Just your typical paint chips here, a couple spots there, but again, that orange is nice and bright. Like I said, I don't see anything up here on the boom or the stick that looks like it's been cracked or welded or plated anywhere. Like I said, does have a hydraulic thumb. You don't see a ton of these with hydraulic thumbs. Bucket's in good shape there. Mechanical coupler. Coming around to the back side of the stick. That cylinder looks good there. Again, this side of the bucket and the thumb, everything looks good there. And again, on this side of the boom and the stick, I'm not seeing anything that looks like it's been cracked or welded or plated anywhere here. And again, that orange paint's pretty darn bright. Some scuffs and scratches in here, nothing out of the ordinary on the inside. Again, a few spots here where the paint's chipping off a little bit. A few little rock chips and down here, everything looks really good on both sides. That BT 1400 decal is starting to peel off partially, and controls, everything looks really good there. Looking at the outrigger on this side, everything looks pretty well normal here. You can see that step's been bent in just a little bit, and the step on the outrigger's bent in as well. Looking at the rear tire on this side, matches up really well to the other side. Plenty of tread depth there. I think it's about the exact same. Really can't tell. There's not really much. Again, maybe just some really light weather checking starting inside there. Sidewall looks good. Taking a step back, looking at the rear rim on this side. Again, that orange paint's pretty bright. This side does have a couple of bigger scratches here. Scuffs on the rim. A couple little dings, one right there. Otherwise, pretty darn good. Looking at the fender on this side. Again, pretty darn bright. Got some small rock chips back here, some scuffing in that paint. Again, not out of the ordinary. Little bit of a ding right here on this edge of the fender. A little bit of paint chipped off there. Up underneath the fender, everything looks really good in there. Sorry, I've got fighting a cold here, so I've got the sniffles. Again, just some scuffs and scratches here, nothing out of the ordinary. Down here, looks like they had to tack weld this plate right here. It looks like it got bent out, and they bent it back in and then tack welded it on right there. Just that shield protects your hydraulics. Looking at the front tire on this side, this tire is wore more down than the other side. Honestly, this one's down to its last 10% of tread depth, and it's got some weather checking and chips out of the tread bars more so than the other side. This tire definitely is much more wore out than the other side. It's going to need replaced sooner than later. 1000 16.5, so very common tire size, and a lot of skid steers use them. Looking at the front rim on this side's got a few more scuffs and scratches in it. Down here you can see some paint chipped off and scratches there, a couple little small dings on that bottom edge of the rim. Same thing up here, a couple little rock chips there. Toolbox. Looking at the loader arm on this side, again, very straight. I'm not seeing anything that looks like it's been cracked or welded or plated anywhere. Again, your decal's starting to peel a little bit here. That orange paint's pretty darn bright. Some more rock chips again down here on the bottom portion, just like the other side. Back side of that skid steer mount plate, everything looks good here. Coming up, taking a look at the bucket. It is one of the heavier duty buckets. It's got the bolt-on cutting edge. Fairly flat there. I'm not seeing any huge bows or dents or dings there. A little bit of cement splatter in the corners over here and back there. Cutting edge has a lot of life left in it. Up here, this crossbar is pretty good. There's some rock chips up here, you can see, paint chips. Grill guard is in good shape there. Try to climb up in here. The hood is pretty darn nice overall. A lot of times you'll see these hoods on these get smashed up. The paint is very, very bright. There are some small scuffs, scratches. There's a couple little rock chips there. Same thing here. A little bit of a paint chip there. Otherwise, over here on the side, very, very bright. There's a scratch here, probably about 3 inches long right there. Otherwise, very, very bright, very reflective. Same thing down on the sides. Everything looks really good down there. Pop the hood and take a look underneath here. If I can get it open all the way. There we go. Up here, everything looks good. The fins on this cooler up here and the radiator, everything looks nice and straight there. Nothing out of the ordinary. Bottom side of this hood, everything looks good. I'll go over to the side and take a look at the side of the block, see what we can see over here. Try to move my camera a little bit, try to get it in just a little closer. There, as you can see, I'll try to go slow and steady here. Nice and dry on the side of the block. No oil or diesel running down that I'm seeing. No antifreeze running anywhere. Everything looks really good back there. Up here, everything looking good there. Down here at the oil pan, everything looks good there. Back side of this front axle, everything looks good. That shield in front of the steering cylinder looks good on this side. We'll go over here. Same thing, that shield's pretty good on this side, on that, covering that steering axle. And down here, again, nice and dry. I don't see any oil or diesel or antifreeze running anywhere. A little bit of dust and dirt in here, but nothing out of the ordinary for a used machine there. In there again, everything. And there you can see just how bright and reflective the side shields are here in that hood. See me waving in the side there. It's a very clean unit. Back side of the axle over here looks good. Oil pan looks good there. Just a little bit of residual from where they changed the oil. Right there by the oil plug. And back in here, everything looks good. Take a look at the operator station. That step's bent in, as you can see there. Very common on these. They're kind of a thinner piece of metal and they stick out so far. But you can see it's bent in, and then that middle bar is separated from the outer bar. Up top, the sunshade, everything looks pretty darn good here. Rubber floor mat's in good shape here where you step on. No cracks or anything that I'm seeing there. Nothing busted up. No tears. Everything looks really pretty darn good there. The Hydro Plus pedal. I like this transmission so much better. I shouldn't say so much better. I like the pedal so much better than their standard Hydro transmission pedal. The transmissions themselves, the regular transmissions, Hydros, are very durable as well. This one just has some cool features. Some scuffs in here. You see some scuffs on the inside of that fender. Same thing here. Looking at the seat, the bottom portion of that seat cushion looks good. I don't see any cuts or tears there. Same thing with that backrest. Both armrests are present and accounted for. That foam's starting to get a little hard, kind of cracking just a little bit here. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Loader controls, everything's really good here. This button on the back, you'll see when we do the operational video, we'll hit that. It automatically revs the engine up. So when you're doing loader work, if you're at a lower idle, you can hit that button, it revs it up. And then when you're doing loader work, it gives you extra power. With the Hydro Plus transmission, they have the auto throttle that has the stall guard, and it has this lever over here is basically a high-low. So it still has 3 ranges, but then each range has a high and a low. And then the auto throttle, which is a really cool feature, and we have it turned on, so you'll see it here in the operational video, is this pedal. As you push forward to move forward, the harder you push, the more the tractor revs the engine up. So it makes the transmission and the throttle work in unison. Whereas on a typical tractor, you just set the throttle to a certain RPM and then you push the pedal. This one revs it up as you're driving. The harder you push, the more engine throttle it gives it. It's just a kind of a really cool feature. This one does have the crawling mode. We'll show you that working too. That's where when you are turned the other direction and you're digging, and if you have to you want to move, you don't have to spin your seat around. Basically, you just lift your outriggers up, your front bucket up, and you use this little lever here, and you can go forward or backwards, and it just crawls you really slow. So when you're digging somewhere, you don't have to spin your seat around and drive the tractor forward. You can do it all from right here. It's really kind of a cool feature. Up here on the dash, everything looks good here. Nothing out of the ordinary. 1,483 hours. It was 82. I said that at the beginning of the video. We've run it around. We've already done the operational video. We've tested stuff, made sure everything seems to be working good. So we've put a little bit of time on it. It has ticked over to 1483. So hour meter is working like it's supposed to. All of our buttons are good here. Control levers are good back there for the backhoe. Here you can kind of get a better look at that hood there. You can see just how reflective it is as well. Everything's good back here. Not too many scuffs and scratches back there like there were up front. All right, like I said, this one's a 2021 Kubota M62 Tractor Loader Backhoe, 1,483 hours now. Lots of photos on our website. That's listed down below in the description. If you have any questions, comment down below. We'll try to answer them for you. We'll get that hood shut, we'll fire it up and get right into an operational video.